It's a use it or lose it benefit. So you're hoping you never need it. And if you die, whew, I made it. I never needed, you've lost all that money. There's got to be a better way, right? Hi there, friends. This is Colin Richards, president and founder of Lord & Richards, and we're well into a subject that is very near dear to my heart, which is how to be wealthy, healthy, and happy for life, especially as we approach our retirement years. And we've been talking about the various freedoms: freedom of wealth, freedom of health, freedom of time, which is critical for happiness. And we have been doing a deeper dive here in the last segment on what we call freedom of health. That is that ability to fund both proactive and reactive healthcare. You say, I've got insurance through my work. Well, we're talking about the things that doesn't pay for. On the front end, investing personally in your vitality, in your fitness, right? So that you have that mobility and that personal health freedom that if you didn't have, you would literally invest every dime you could to achieve it. And we don't want you to be in a position where you have to choose. We want to have an abundant income that provides you freedom of time and freedom of health and the ability to invest in yourself. And then what about those things that chronic illness, for example, that aren't covered by traditional healthcare? We want to have a backup solution when that happens, because it will happen. Very high likelihood in your life, no matter how well you try. The reality of greater longevity in our society has opened us up to chronic illness, or the ability to not perform all of the normal activities of daily living. And this will happen if you live long enough. And so we want to deal with it in advance. And my solution, our solution at Lord & Richards, is to create a funding source where we can leverage your dollars and use other people's money on top of that to fund this care, right? Because it's not going to be covered by Medicare. It's not going to be covered by your traditional health insurance. Medicaid won't pick up the bill until you are broke. So the traditional solutions are, the ideas I see people have, I'll just self-fund it. Okay, that's a 1-to-1 ratio. You have $1, you're going to spend $1. And if it comes from an IRA, you're going to spend a lot more than $1 after taxes. And we will, in your Retirement Freedom Review, actually test this to see if this is possible. And if you have an abundance of assets, way more than you need to live on, it's possible that you could pick up the tab on your $900,000 plus bill for a multi-year stay, which most of us are going to face the reality of skilled nursing. Now, some of us may be able to stay at home and be about half that much, but we don't want you to have to pay that much money out of pocket. So the funds that we save are often qualified like IRAs and 401ks, so you'll have to take out extra money. And today that's about $120,000 a year that you'll need to net after that withdrawal for skilled nursing. And as I said, about half that for in-home care. There is an extremely high rate of inflation on chronic illness expenses, double, often more than double the historic cost of living. And so you're talking 4 and 5% increases. So by the time you arrive later in life, if you're talking to me in your 60s and this happens in your 80s, you are looking at a $900,000 to $1 million bill, $900,000 to $1 million bill for a multi-year stay. And by the way, you could be vulnerable early in life before you could save enough to self-fund. So that's a shaky solution, not one I recommend. How about traditional long-term care insurance? Well, that's the Cadillac, right? You pay for what you get, but it's extremely expensive when you're shopping for this later in life. And here's another issue. Your premiums are rarely guaranteed. So what I see most people doing, and we've met with thousands of people and we're helping thousands of people, is most people elect to reduce their benefits later in life when they're actually needed. They're forced to because they can't afford the new premiums as they're going up year after year after year. And thirdly, not only is it extremely expensive, not only are premiums not guaranteed on traditional long-term care, but it's a use it or lose it benefit. So you're hoping you never need it. And if you die, whew, I made it. I never needed, you've lost all that money. There's got to be a better way, right? These traditional solutions of self-funding and long-term care are not comprehensive. Here's the solution. Other people's money, right? Here's the words I want you to remember. Living benefits, living benefits. These solutions have been out for long enough for them to be tested and tried. There are two solutions I want to talk to you about, and I may go deeper into these on other episodes. But number one, you remember how I said that one of the ways you can build a barbell, this was in a previous segment, so that you have freedom of time and you have the income you need to be able to fully step away from work if that's what you desire. I know some of you are workaholics, no problem, but you've got the freedom to step away if you want to. Well, on one side of the barbell is your safe income generating solutions that are guaranteed and abundant. I'm not talking about dividends. I'm not talking about those kind of things. I'm talking about safe, principal protected solutions. And one of those, we had Social Security, we had government pensions, but the one I want to focus in on was this fixed annuity that provided lifetime guaranteed income, principal protection, and market-linked growth. Sounds like a win, right? For that side of the barbell, conservative, moderate, long-term growth, no downside, so it doesn't go down when the market goes down, and it provides guaranteed lifetime income. So that's a great part of the puzzle that we can solve. But did you know that some of those will double your income benefit if you fall prey to chronic illness, if you can't perform 2 activities of daily living, and often for up to 5 years? So that would be a help. I would call that a supplement, right? For maybe when costs initially aren't that high, maybe you're at home, you just need a little help getting around, that kind of thing. So solution number one, a hybrid annuity solution that has, here's the words, living benefits, not just death benefits, not just income benefits. And then here's the next one, and this is a much more comprehensive alternative to self-funding, alternative to traditional long-term care. These are hybrid life insurance solutions, again, with living benefits. So how do they work? You say, Colin, it sounds expensive. Well, if designed properly, they will cost you less than the typical management fees of 1% on a managed portfolio. That's pretty reasonable. And the goal here is that you have a principal protected pool of money that you're either building up over time or you insert all at once into one of these, so it can be a lump sum or gradually. That money can grow tax-free. That's a wonderful benefit from the government, so you're never taxed on it again, either in life or in death. Or you can leave it and multiply your principal many times for the purposes of living benefits in the form of a death benefit that can be paid out while you're alive. That's a living benefit, a death benefit that can be paid out while you're alive, something that happens while you're still living. And it can be paid out monthly as needed or, occasionally. They're tax-free benefits. And all you have to do is demonstrate that you can't perform 2 activities of daily living of the 6. So a tax-free, abundant supply of money guaranteed to help you cover the costs of chronic illness should that come. Freedom of time, vital. Freedom of wealth and freedom of health. We've just gotten started, folks. We've got more where this comes from, but I'd really encourage you, don't wait around for the rest of the episodes. This is going to be so exciting for you when we develop a retirement freedom roadmap for you that will show you how to retire without worry, knowing that all the vital areas of freedom have been handled. It just starts with a phone call.